We've got him in sight. Hold on, M.A.S.K will be right back.
Hello. This is Salem Blood. Direct from my hospital bed here at the Metropolitan Methodist Hospital. I just heard episode 9 of M.A.S.K Mayhem. All of it. Finally. Anyway, you guys are also not only forgetting vehicles, but also forgetting some of the vehicle abilities like Thunderhawk's magnetic thruster discs. Yes, he used this so many times before Vanessa's vehicle. He used it, I think, in episode 1 or 2, where he attached one of his magnetic thruster discs to the underside of the left wing of the switchblade in jet mode. It caused the switchblade to tumble out of control as the thruster disc activated. See, what they do is they magnetically attach to a vehicle, and a very powerful thruster ignites, pushing it in that direction, whichever direction it's facing. These are apparently very powerful because that one time when Dusty accidentally drove off a cliff in Hawaii, I think it was Hawaii, Matt used 2 thruster discs to attach to the underside of Gator to safely bring Gator down to a soft landing at the bottom of the cliff. He also used one of his discs to attach to the rear end of the jackhammer to cause the jackhammer to uncontrollably run into a wall. And we see in this case, he's used the disc to attach to the front end of Vanessa's vehicle, and the thruster pushed down the front end of the vehicle, forcing her to land. So this isn't the first time. It's not the magnetic pull of these discs that causes the vehicles, or that causes the effect. No, it's the little thruster embedded inside the center of the disc that does the pushing, that does the hard work, the pushing effect. The magnetic part is just only to attach to the vehicle. That's all. Otherwise, other than that, this is a solid episode you all did. I'm very happy at this episode. Keep up the good work. Again, this is Salem Blood from my hospital bed. Hopefully, by the time we hear this recording, I will be out of the hospital and back home again. Good work once again, TFG1 Mike and Optimus Solo. And have yourself a good day.
Now watch what M.A.S.K does.
Well, thank you for that voicemail, Salem. Not to sound like a complete and utter dick, but please focus on yourself when you're in the hospital. Don't worry about podcasting and replying to podcasts. As far as the magnetism thing, and as far as remembering the vehicles and the weapons, I joked in a previous episode that I'm intentionally going to not say the vehicle names and not say the weapon names anymore and not remember what the hell they are, just because people keep pointing it out to us. But it's, it's like, at this point in the series, we're up to, what are we doing today? Episode 23 and 24, right?
Yeah.
We're 24, 23, 24 episodes in. I'm just watching to enjoy it or not enjoy it, and I nitpick on what I want to nitpick on. I don't know about Kevin, but we're not going to notice every little piece of weaponry type of deal.
Yeah, like I said, it goes back to me just not owning the toys, so I don't have the background of knowing the names of vehicles, and, I learn some of them as they go through, but I'm not trying to spend a half hour memorizing every vehicle and every weapon that comes out of it and ability of the mask, etc. Because this series is not good enough for me to do that.
No.
I'm enjoying parts of the series. But yeah, and as for the magnetic thruster, it wasn't the point that I wasn't saying that there wasn't like a cartoon way of explaining it. I was just saying that it's highly unbelievable, even for me in the cartoon world, that
Yeah.
object would have the effects that it does. I mean, of course, all the mask effects and vehicle effects are pretty far-fetched, but for that one, just kind of stood out to me that I didn't quite get how we were supposed to buy that was having the effects that it was.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. We are gonna get on with the show. Hello, this is Steve, Joe, and Mike, and welcome to the Mayhem. This is Masked Mayhem, episode 10, and with me, as always, is my Rhino co-pilot, Optimus Solo. Hello.
Good day, sir.
Yes. And while this episode is going to be a little bit late, we are still here. And in this episode of Masked Mayhem, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 23, Vanishing Point, and episode 24, Counter-Clockwise Caper. So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
This morning, the cargo plane that was to carry the Hermes jet back to the coast disappeared. Right on the runway. Disappeared? A 10-ton cargo plane? Come on, Dutch. Believe it. And tomorrow, the jet's scheduled to be unveiled before the Army brass. If anything happens to it... I get the picture. The entire project could take a tail dive. Let me look into it.
First up today is Vanishing Point. Take it away with the plot synopsis.
Vanishing Point. So we start with a plane. It's going to land, and it disappears or vanishes. Matt, by chance, is the principal investor in Project Hermes, so he is alerted about the cargo plane that was carrying the Hermes jet that had just disappeared. So then he goes to investigate with Scott and T-Bob, and they arrive at a busy metropolis, unlike the ghost town they had expected, which T-Bob gets ridden by a girl. Ooh. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Insert that joke right there.
Matt has T-Bob take a picture of a check on the little convenience store wall, and the computer basically scans the check and discovers that Miles Mayhem is the person that signed it. So Matt decides it is time to assemble the team, which consists of Matt, Bruce, Dusty, and Gloria, the four of them going against the four Venom members. The team gets briefed on the jet, and then they happen to see Sly and Cliff drive by and recognize Venom. We'll get to that later. And Scott and T-Bob motor scooter along as well. T-Bob, motor scooter mode. T-Bob then blows the cover as they're kind of like doing their little surveillance on Venom, which causes a little scene where we have a little cliffhanger where Scott's about to die because a bunch of basically logs are going to fall on him. Matt saves Scott. And
we'll get to that later, too.
Matt saves Scott, and then M.A.S.K goes after Venom. Venom is using a false radar, which is how they're doing this. They're using a false radar in combination with a fake airfield to hijack planes, which they do again. And then we have a showdown between M.A.S.K and Venom. M.A.S.K saves the plane and crew, but Venom has a bomb basically attached to the plane in the hangar, and they're going to blow that up. But luckily, Bruce saves the day, so no bomb, no foul, and Venom has retreated, and M.A.S.K successfully, as I said, saves the day. That is the Vanishing Point.
So,
thoughts on the plot?
This is Skyway to Terror, essentially. The whole episode, it felt like an aerial version of Highway to Terror. It honestly did.
There was some interesting. I mean, I like the fact that they were using like the false radar and the mystery of how they were pulling it off with the planes disappearing and the fake airfields and stuff like that. So that part was, I found interesting. Um, there wasn't like huge showdowns in this episode compared to some of the other ones. I mean, a
Right.
little bit at the end, and then the bomb at the end was kind of like another added twist at the end. Although sometimes that's all too common enemy plot device where, oh, plans foiled, don't worry, I had a bomb installed, type deal. But as far as the plane aspect of it and the planes disappearing and that type of thing, I didn't have a problem with that.
Oh no, I don't have a problem with the plot. It's just it feels like
You've seen it before?
Highway to Terror with planes. That's what it feels like. I mean, we've seen it before. Like I thought the
Yeah,
disappearing
that's true.
airfield was cool. I thought the effect of the disappearing airfield was cool, but again, it reminds me so much of Highway to Terror.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? Yeah, that's a great point, and I didn't even think about that when I was watching it. But now that you bring that up, it is basically Highway to Terror in air. So you have a good point there. It's almost a recycled plot line, but I still don't dislike it. Like you said, it's not bad. It's
Yeah,
just
I don't dislike it. It's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
right. And like I said, we had 4-on-4 as far as the agents go. It'd been a while since I'd seen Gloria. At least it seems like it had been a while.
Yeah.
So it's good to see her back in the mix. I also thought it was kind of cool with the when Matt went to assemble the team, he
Yeah.
made a specific reference that since they're not at the headquarters, he used the phrase satellite link when he was talking about the computer. Like, use the satellite link to, select the proper team or whatever. So I thought,
He said that before though.
yeah, I just think it's a cool touch when they're not there that he
Right.
references it and that kind
Well,
of does.
they're adding in a whole lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, even more in the
as we
next
go
episode.
along. Do you know who wrote this?
Oh yeah, I'm going to be looking all that stuff up and researching that. Um, expect that for episode 25 is a good number to start doing that.
Okay.
That's a nice round number. I like episode 25 as when
Nice.
we go over that.
Yeah.
But plot is good. Plot has potential. Plot does not ruin the episode. So we can go from there.
Speak of the devils. Let's nail 'em.
So let's turn on the high beams.
So bright.
Yeah, so bright.
I thought it was interesting that they used the name McKenna for a lot of the stuff in here. I think it was McKenna Airfield.
Yeah.
And they use it in multiple ways, and one of the voice actors' last name is McKenna. So I don't know if that's a coincidence, if they were trying to work that in, or if I'm not sure if it was intentional or unintentional, but I did catch that. Here's one that we'll talk about both in this episode and the next episode. M.A.S.K finally recognizes Venom's car. Well, in this case, recognizes Venom's person. Like, they recognize Sly and Cliff Dagger. Because the truck goes by, and it's not until the window goes by and you clearly see both Sly and Cliff that the M.A.S.K members go, aha, Venom. So after before where we couldn't recognize anything or there was some inconsistency, in episode 23 there is indisputable proof that they recognize the individuals by looking at them.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it. There's no way you can argue that point, that they recognize them by seeing them in this episode. Did you notice the line when they said, I can't remember who said it, but somebody says, keep them busy while I get the truck out of here. I'm sorry. I know they didn't probably mean it like that, but all I could think of was that sounds like they wanted to say something else.
When the truck is a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Well, I get the bleep out of here.
Oh.
We did actually have a cliffhanger. We haven't had it very often, but I've tried to bring it up every time we've had when it goes to commercial break. There was actually a cliffhanger with Scott and the falling timbers. But good Lord, those timbers took a while to fall.
Yes, they did.
They were falling, and then they were falling, and then they were falling. And then we went to commercial, and then we got back from commercial, and they were back up a little bit further than they were. And then they were falling, and then they were falling, and then they were getting shot.
Yeah.
Luckily for Scott, those things didn't weigh much, and they were apparently floating through the air like feathers. That's the only way that it could have taken them that long to get there. We got another look at the Venom henchman.
Yeah.
There was two guys in the one room, kind of guarding the door, so to speak. Probably my biggest high beam for this episode, though, was the aerial maneuvers and the flying maneuvers that we saw. There was a lot with Thunderhawk and a couple of the other vehicles during the kind of the fight scene, so to speak, where they're doing some nifty spins and flyovers and dipsy-doos, and I don't know what all the technical terms are for those maneuvers, but they were doing a lot of them.
Loop-de-loops and
Yeah, I liked
everything else. Yeah. No, I also loved Matt's flying / driving skills in the aerial battle. That was so awesome. And as I said last week, Bruce must work for Kenner. He's in there. He's at a toy demonstration for buyers, or some he must work for Kenner. Dusty runs off and he hits the switch by accident. Pizza everywhere.
Then it looks like the guy was trying to eat out of the machine. Like he gave up and he's like, "I'll just eat it."
Yeah. Hold that pose. All students fall over.
That was kind of funny.
When Venom's in town, real estate goes down.
That was a cheesy line.
Yeah, it's still funny. Disappearing, reappearing airfield. It's Highway to Terror-esque. Yeah, I already mentioned that. Why is Sly not picking cactus prongs out of his ass at the end of this episode? Honestly, because apparently he's cactus-proof. And that'll be an image in the show notes.
He got it on with the cactus.
I don't know how the PSA at the end of this can even be considered a PSA. The only way it can be considered a PSA, and I'm not trying to sound negative about it, it is a good message, but it just didn't seem like a PSA to me at all.
Never try to handle too much wood.
Oh, and on that note, I think we're going to go into the low beams.
You're coming right down on the beam, Flight 102. You can always depend on Rod being right on time.
Best pilot we got.
Right on time. Huh? What? They're down. Ross could land that thing blindfolded.
So, let's turn on the low beams. I'm going to go first. I don't have too many of these. Scott forces T-Bob into the weirdest situations. In the beginning of the episode, he doesn't do this, but it's like sticking a gun in T-Bob's face and making him do stuff he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, he's an abusive owner.
Yes, very much so. Okay, you mentioned that M.A.S.K recognized Venom. I have the opposite effect here in my low beams. Seriously, Rax and Dagger are driving in the big rig truck. They drive right by the M.A.S.K vehicles, and the team does not have their helmets on. Now, okay, I get it. Eyes on the road, hands at 10 and 2, I get that. But there are times when a driver will look left or look right. And you're telling me that Rax did not turn his head to the left at all to see that, hey, there's Thunderhawk, there's Rhino in plain fucking daylight.
Yeah, I didn't look at it from that side.
Why didn't Scott... okay, yeah. The beams. The wood beams. Before they start falling, doesn't Matt yell at him? Or doesn't Matt yell to him?
Mm-hmm.
And as you said in your high beam, it takes these things forever to fall. Scott could have just moved out of the fucking way.
He was stricken with terror, frozen,
I
like the
guess all
little
that
twerp he is.
I guess all that hard oak really,
Yeah.
puts a frightening look on his face.
Yeah, and that's why he was. There was a wood theme in this one. Scott and wood. It was falling on him,
Yeah.
and he was not carrying enough, and T-Bob was carrying too much, and I don't know what's
Okay,
going on here.
So my final one is, and this is just something that we've done in the last 9 episodes or whatever. And I'm exaggerating when I say this, but isn't this like the 10 billionth time that Switchblade has been damaged or destroyed?
I'm thinking that there's an army of switchblades.
There must be.
There's a disappeared landing field somewhere, a hidden cloaked landing field that has hundreds of switchblades, and they just go to get one whenever they need one. Beginning of each episode, he picks out a new one. You know, like that commercial that used to run where like the person would be like looking for a new car, and they'd be like, "I want a red car," and then all of a sudden all the red cars would show up on the thing.
Oh, that's the Auto Trader commercial. That still runs.
Then they'd be like, "Well, I want a truck," and then it would be all trucks.
Trucks, yeah.
I want a Dodge. Like
I want all new cars, and the one that has, yeah.
That's what he does with Switchblade.
Oh God, what do you have for low beams?
None of my low beams are major ones. Like they're not plot related, they're not story related or writing related or anything like that. Most of mine might seem like I'm being very nitpicky, but they're all mainly about animation and the sequencing of stuff, with the exception of one, and that is, and I've repeated this multiple times, and people might be tired of me hearing it or me saying it, but the voices. Good God. Okay. I know there's other shows where people do multiple voices. You know, you have your stars and they do the major voices, and then if there's side voices, they usually get those major stars to do the side voices.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, we have so many people under contract, we need a couple more extra voices, do, you know, guy on street or do bank teller, whatever. All right. And I know in certain situations I can identify certain voices. Like I can identify Frank Welker's voice. You know, I can identify Peter Cullen's voice. I can identify, you know, like a Dawes Butler or some of those people. Even though they do a million different voices, you can kind of identify them because there's just that certain quality. But they still change the voices. Like they still have dozens of voices that they can do for different characters. So it's not completely obvious. It's not like you're in a Transformers, and I hate to use that reference, but it's not like you're in a Transformers episode here, and we hear Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, and then we hear random scientist with Optimus Prime's voice.
Yeah.
Like, he would at least change it somewhat. And they make absolute no effort in M.A.S.K. to have the stars use different voices. The flight guy at the beginning is using Sly Rax's voice 100%.
Yeah.
The pilot is using, I can't remember if it's Buddy or Dusty, is using one of their voices 100%. Like, It drives me nuts when I'm hearing these side voices, and it's not just that I can tell it's the same person. No, it's the same exact version of the voice. And it drives me nuts. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. They went with the good old anime-influenced split screen at one point.
Oh, yeah.
With Gloria, Matt, and Bruce. I hate it. Was it just me, or did they go a little overkill with the guns that popped out of the airfield?
Yeah, that was...
There was about 1 million of them. Because at one point, I was going to count them. I'm going to be like, I want to count how many guns just popped out. But then they do this, like, moving sequence where, like, somebody's driving, and it becomes impossible. There's so many guns. Like, there was at least 50 to 100, like, automated guns popping out of that airfield. And to me, that was kind of weird.
I mean, like, you look at Boulder Hill, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Boulder Hill has maybe, 3-4 different gun turrets once it's in its defense mode.
Right.
Maybe 2. I don't know. We haven't seen Boulder Hill in a while because they're all in these. They're rarely ever in, Matt's house anymore or Boulder Hill. So it's like, that you know how much firepower it has, but this airfield was like so overpowered. I mean,
And with
it
that
was-
many guns, there's no way they could all miss.
I know.
So don't have that many guns because it just makes it less believable.
Yeah.
And they had weird sound effects on them too. And my other little, Cliff's car gets. Oh wait, everybody can yell at me now because I didn't name it. Like a whole mountain drops on it.
Yeah.
Like a boulder the size of the boulder in Indiana Jones freaking lands right on top of it
Yeah.
and smashes it. So we need to go to that place where all of the vehicles are being chosen at the beginning of the episode. But apparently, it's like a whole field of these too. And my last one is that was bad animation used and timing and sequencing on the bomb timer at the end, because Bruce is, I think it's Bruce, who's going to defuse it, and he asks for the bobby pin from Gloria.
Right.
Gets it. They show the timer, and it goes to 0, so we're just dealing with like the tenths or the hundredths of a second.
Yeah.
And then he gets the bobby pin from her and puts it in there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was after the bomb would have gone off that he saved the world.
I've never seen, like, once you get down to 1 second,
You're dead.
like, you don't have time to do anything at that point. Like,
No, not at all.
you can't insert something into it and hope it stops, because they were in the tenths or the hundredths of a second. Like, that's boom, it's gone. It's dead. You're done. Like, so it was just bad timing as far as what number they allowed to be shown before they cut away to him grabbing the bobby pin. So like I said, nothing major that was like plot effective. It was just little details that I thought were overlooked in this one. So, you know, I give props to the people that like wrote and did the plot and the dialogue for this episode. But then whoever was doing like the checking on the animation or that type of stuff kind of dropped the ball on this one.
I will say, and I know we're in the low beams, but that whole bomb timer thing, I think is it this episode or the next episode? I forget. Where one of the coolest things with the animation is when Gloria is mirrored against it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a cool effect, but yeah, I mean the animation was so in different places in this episode. It was so off.
Yeah, just like someone didn't like do the final run through.
Yeah, not at all.
There she goes. The turbines will go crazy trying to pump water backwards. The vibration will tear the whole dam to pieces.
Exactly. And that would be the biggest disaster in history. M.A.S.K will have to try to stop it. No one will be interested in us. Hey, I like that. Put on.
All right, folks, lastly up today, we are going to talk about episode 24, the Counter-Clockwise Caper. Plot, good sir.
As Miles Mayhem so named this episode, the Counter-Clockwise Caper, we start off with Matt, Scott, T-Bob, and Gloria in Las Vegas. And all the machines start going backwards. All machinery, including T-Bob, starts going backwards because Venom has used a reverser machine. Matt leaves Scott and T-Bob at Lake Mead to go investigate. Meanwhile, we see T-Bob, the water skier. Matt and Gloria are off investigating, but they're bored and they're about to give up. But Gloria sees Venom. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Venom uses the reverser again, which causes Matt to be spinning pretty fast and flying out windows and hanging on to curtains, and Gloria has to save his life and drop him in a fountain. Venom. We then learn that Venom is going to basically use this to rob the casinos. And at one point they use Vanessa to try to stall M.A.S.K while they get away with what they're going to be doing. M.A.S.K assembles the team for Las Vegas, which consists of Matt, Gloria, Bruce, and Dusty, again 4-on-4. Matt has Bruce and Gloria switch vehicles so that basically Bruce is with him, I believe is how that worked out.
Yeah.
And Gloria was with Dusty. Yeah. No, Dusty was with Matt, Bruce is with Gloria.
Right. Yeah.
Venom sets up a Hoover Dam for collapsing. They're going to use this reverser to collapse Hoover Dam, which is going to divert M.A.S.K attention to try to save Hoover Dam and the people, which is going to allow Venom to get away with their robbery, etc. Meanwhile, Scott and T-Bob are out on Lake Mead, which is going to be affected by Hoover Dam's collapse. They're about to die, and Bruce lifts them into the Thunderhawk as they're flying over.
Yes.
M.A.S.K goes to save the dam, just like the
Save the damn day.
yeah, they're gonna go save the damn day, which is kind of what Venom planned. But what Venom didn't plan is that they would split up. So two of the M.A.S.K members, Gloria and Bruce, are going to save the dam, while Matt and Dusty are still pursuing Venom. So the plan didn't quite go through how Miles thought it would. In the end, Venom loses the money and retreats, and M.A.S.K does save the damn day. Couple notes before we get into the plot here. I liked how the computer this time, we talked about it, keeps adding stuff. It gave reasons for each selection.
Yep.
It said
I think it's done that before in the past. It's done that once, maybe before, maybe twice.
I never noticed it so blatant.
Like, it'll continue.
But it's like, this person selected for this ability that's going to, for expertise or for Las Vegas or whatever. I did notice, though, once again, that there was no ending to that team selection, and there was also no mention of Gloria. There was no acknowledging that she's already there or choosing her or anything like that.
I thought there was.
No, they don't say anything. They just select Bruce and Dusty, and then it ends with no words. So that is kind of weird. As far as the plot goes, we've already seen plots, kind of like you said with the other one. We've seen this before somewhat, where all machinery is basically rendered useless or malfunctioning. So we've seen versions of this. I don't mind the complex plot with Venom trying to, divert their attention to the dam while they, rob the casinos and get away with the money. That was kind of cool. So I don't have huge problems with the plot. What did you think about it?
Well, remember last week when you asked me if, at the end of episode 9, if there was any preview of episode 10 that I wanted to give, and I said something along the lines of, episode 10 might have the best episode of the series so far. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but I'm going to quote Billy Bob. A fucking 10! This is by far, it only took this series 24 episodes to actually get me to absolutely not have an issue with a plot, because this plot makes so much sense. Venom and Miles Mayhem specifically have never been succinct on world domination. They've been, guided by money and riches. And this plot makes so much fucking sense. Granted, the way that it's done is a little goofy, but it's a distraction. That's all it is. It's a distraction while Venom goes and vacuums up all the money out of the casinos in Las Vegas. This plot makes so much sense as a criminal organization as Venom is. I absolutely love this episode. This might be my favorite episode of the entire series, and we're not even done yet.
Yeah, I guess I didn't love it as much as you did, but maybe I'll change my opinion as we talk through this. I agree that I don't really have any problems with it, and I like that they were using a diversion, which is something we haven't seen very often. And it was cool just to have kind of a regular bad guy where they have plot where they have like this new device that they're going to use and to see how they deal with the fact that the machines aren't working. I thought that could have been used even a little bit better, but it's not necessarily anything bad about it.
Yeah, I mean, like this episode, when we get into the high beams and the low beams, I don't have that many for either category. I mean, I've got, some legitimate stuff, but it's like, when I watched this episode, I was like, wow. It was like I was just mesmerized, and I was just watching it to watch it. This is probably the first episode of M.A.S.K that I actually really thoroughly enjoyed watching the episode. Whereas some of the other ones, it's like, oh God, I have to write this down about T-Bob, I have to write this down about Scott, or I have to write this down about teams not recognizing each other after, it wasn't like that in this, because it made, the plot made so much damn sense to me.
Yeah.
Although the reverser machine's fugly. But anyway.
I don't know, it's kind of cool looking. It looks like one of the droids from Star Wars, actually.
It looks like a droidy car from episode 1.
It almost looks like one of the medical droids medical droids from episode 4 or 5. Yeah. I don't know, I have the action figure.
Cool. Any other thoughts on the plot?
No, like I said, a couple things I might have done a little bit differently, but I don't necessarily have any problems with it.
Nice going, M.A.S.K. Will you look at that? And they say money don't grow on trees.
So let's turn on the high beams. Okay, so the drunken gambler inserts money into T-Bob.
Slot machine.
He pulls his arm, and I thought that was hilarious. Vanessa. Although that dress was a little frumpy, but the gloves. It's all about the gloves for me. But anyway, did you notice that there's tons of sexual tension between Gloria and Matt in this episode?
I did notice that.
I mean, it's more present. Are they a couple or not? It has never really been expressly said to this point in the series.
I don't like it.
Okay. Spectrum can do anything. It even acts as the radio for Boulder Hill. Because he called the computer through Spectrum.
We're gonna get a voicemail on that now.
Probably. Well, Spectrum is the mask. So I was right, damn it. I know what the hell I watched.
We're gonna get a lesson on its powers.
Oh, God.
Or its abilities.
Email's better. Oops. Grimlock wore the apron better.
Who wore the apron? T-Bob?
T-Bob, yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. For once.
That's all I got. What do you got for high beams?
Once again, Venom vehicles are recognized. Now in episode 23, it was indisputable evidence that M.A.S.K recognized the people. They actually recognized Cyrax and Cliff Dagger. In episode 24, there's indisputable evidence that they recognized the actual vehicles.
Yeah.
So M.A.S.K can both recognize the individuals and the vehicles. I know the people are going to say, yeah, it's Venom that can't recognize M.A.S.K without their masks, etc. I'm just trying to keep track here, so going forward we know and we can be clear that M.A.S.K can identify both Venom agents and vehicles.
Yeah.
And we'll see how consistent they stay for the rest of the series. I love the money vacuum that they were using to steal all the money from the casino.
And that was awesome.
It's like a big vacuum that they're just sucking up all the money with.
That's awesome.
Reminded me of an episode of Cops, the cartoon, not the actual
It would have been
show.
even... Well, no, because this episode... When did that movie come out? I think this episode happened before Spaceballs. I was going to say, it would be kind of cool if it was like a mini Meter Maid.
Yeah, that's funny. So last episode we had Let's Get the Truck Out of Here. This episode, I know it's going to be a cheesy pop culture reference, but at one point the line was said, "You're on a boat." And I just found it funny, like the Lonely Island guys or whatever it is. Like, do you get that reference or not?
No.
Somebody out there is going to get that reference. But I can't remember who says it. I think Scott or something. He's like, "You're on a boat." And I just laughed. The money on the cactus I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The money stuck to the cactus that Dusty was picking off one by one.
Yeah, it was funny.
And then, of course, the line that money does grow on trees.
Yeah.
So those were my high beams.
Yeah, I mean, this one, as I said in the plot, it was just overall enjoyable. Finally, an episode that I can actually enjoy.
That's good.
I can't believe it. Matt Tracker actually on vacation.
Everybody's got to take a break sometime. Get away from villains, violence, and
Let's
mystery.
turn on the low beams. Okay, T-Bob going backwards is one thing, but T-Bob talking backwards sounds like muffled screams. It was like... I don't know, it was like... It wasn't like a weird backwards language. I don't know if you ever did that as a kid with your friends, but you always create languages with friends. I don't know, I used to do that as a
I
kid.
think a lot of people have.
Little stupid 6-year-old stuff. But it was like, it goes to the bad voice acting in the series.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell what was going on there, what was being used, if that was a person, if that was some type of mechanical effects or machine or computer voices, or I couldn't tell what was going on there.
And Scott, again, we're 24 episodes in, and he still wants to go on missions. You're left out of dangerous situations because you might die. Giant, huge pieces of hardwood nearly killed you last episode, dude. Come on. Oh my god. The Ouch Cannon, is that really what it was called? The Ouch Cannon, worst weapon name ever.
That was pretty bad.
Oh god. Good PSA message, but bad T-Bob joke.
Use a suntan lotion.
Yes. And again, okay, use suntan lotion. I don't remember. Did T-Bob actually put it on himself?
I don't remember.
Okay, if he did, then there's something wrong with that because T-Bob is mechanical.
I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Okay.
Maybe you put some reflection or reflective stuff so it doesn't make him hot. I don't know.
All right, what do you got for low beam?
How about right at the beginning when Gloria and Matt are there and Gloria says, "I can't believe it, Matt Tracker on vacation? He's on vacation every episode."
I know.
What the hell? What do you mean Matt Tracker on vacation? He's on vacation every other episode. They've been to 1,800 countries already, and we're only in episode 24. Not all of them were work-related. In fact, I remember specifically at one point him, Bruce, Scott, and all them out on a pontoon.
Yeah.
That wasn't a vacation?
Yep.
Stop it. Although it's funny seeing the guy put the money into T-Bob, or attempt to,
yeah,
I question the use of a drunk gambler stumbling around in a kid's cartoon.
It is Vegas.
We're in Vegas. We're full of people gambling. Then this guy's clearly hobbling around, almost slurring his speech. He can't walk straight. Yeah.
Well, that's what the suntan lotion PSA is for.
I guess. And then I question. Apparently, I thought. I don't know. Scott refers to one Venom member as, I can't remember who he sees. If it's Vanessa or whoever, he says that was a Venom.
Yeah, I did notice that.
That was a Venom.
Yeah.
Venom is singular now.
Yeah, that.
They're each a Venom, or is the organization Venom?
The voice sessions for this show must have really sucked. No, seriously, because I remember one of our and this is slightly off topic of low beams of this episode, but I remember one of our complaints about the DVD set from Shout Factory was that there was not really that. There's only 2 bonus features on it. There was nothing with the voice actors or anything like that, and Brian Ward has gone on record in saying that they did reach out, but apparently no one who voice acted in this series, Doug Stone apparently did not remember even voicing Matt Tracker.
Well, see, and I even reached out to tried to reach out to Brian Ward because I was searching, and I have been searching for years for actual images of some of the people that did the voices in M.A.S.K.
Yeah.
I have a lot of them, but there are certain people that you can't even find an image for anywhere on the internet. And he couldn't find anything for me. But yeah, the voice actors. Sorry if they're listening, but I know they're not. How about at the end when Scott says, "Hey, I even did what you told me to. I stayed on the lake," and Matt goes, "That's my boy." What?
That's my boy. Now in theaters. Sorry.
That's my boy. He said, "That's my boy." Oh, my boy's so good. He always obeys me, and I'm proud of him. I've raised him well. What the fuck? Your boy never does what you tell him to. He's always in trouble. He's always getting himself almost killed. And you have nothing to be proud of in your parenting skills. Stop it.
I don't know if I should
That's
wait
my
until
boy.
I don't know if we should. I think I'm going to wait till final thoughts because it has nothing to do with this episode. But I have a comparison for people when we get to final thoughts. Any other low beams?
One more low beam, and that is, I know you kind of had it as a high beam, the Matt and Gloria angle.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Only because, to me, I don't know. I almost view Matt as older than her, and I don't have a problem with the age difference, but it just doesn't seem like a natural pairing to me. And I just, he's the boss. And,
hey, he can get to the top.
Get it on with his only female agent.
Yeah.
And bringing her on vacation with Scott and T-Bob, and I don't know. I just don't know if M.A.S.K. as a cartoon, if it's necessary to have hints or glimpses at a romantic connection with anybody. I'd almost prefer a romantic connection between Matt and Vanessa.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying obviously they're evil and one's evil, one's good.
That would be awesome, but that would never.
No, I'm saying like in the past, like
Yeah.
the romantic connection
Yeah.
beforehand, and before one was M.A.S.K and one was Venom, and I could even go further and say that Vanessa, was hot for Matt or whatever, and somehow caused the death of Matt's actual wife. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what turned her bad or something. Like, we could go deep here, but
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than, oh, here's this female agent that we've never hinted at this before,
Yeah,
and
this
all of a
is
sudden,
the first time. Like there's been little hints, like there's been little snide remarks between Matt and Gloria in past episodes.
but we've basically gone 24 episodes, and then all of a sudden there's a love connection.
Yeah.
I think that's why it feels unnatural to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it so totally does. I mean, if they had,
If there'd been a hint since the beginning,
yeah,
it'd be different.
Yeah. Or if they spread it out, because it took. I'm gonna make a Justice League Unlimited reference that you're not gonna get, but the listeners might. In Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, when Hawkgirl and Green Lantern start dating or whatever else, it takes them like 2.5, 3 seasons before that even happens. You know what I mean? And it's little things here and there that build up to that. And that's the same kind of thing here. It's like there have been little like snide, not really snide remarks, but little, coy remarks and stuff back and forth. As far as the age, I would say Matt's between 38 and 43. I would say she's anywhere from 29 to 34. So that's not that.
No, I don't really have a problem with the age.
Right.
I was trying to figure out why it felt unnatural to me, and I think it's just because it's all of a sudden after 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my biggest problem, and I don't know. I just don't like the idea. I don't want this to continue.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to go to some words of wisdom from Mr. Bruce Sato, and then we will come back.
That was pretty good.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. After some ads and everything else to close the show out.
Stay tuned. M.A.S.K will return.
You can now hear the Geekcast Radio Network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free-use and talk mobile app available for your smartphone. And when you download Stitcher to hear Geekcast Radio, you'll have a chance to win money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. During registration, hit the promo code box and enter Geekcast Radio, all one word, to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episodes of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand, no syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code Geekcast Radio when you register.
Yes, Venom's out there someplace. Where? The jet's due to land in less than 2 hours. The haystack is a large place to search for the needle.
Hey, I'm Gary.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm Justin. Join the four of us every week on the internet's #1 and longest-running G.I. Joe podcast, What's on Joe Mind?
It's Joe news, reviews, and interviews like you've never heard them before, delivered right to your MP3 player.
Our guests include Jason Marsden, Kevin Michael Richardson, and Matt Yang King from G.I. Joe Renegades, Larry Hama, Robert Adkins, and John Barber from IDW Publishing, and many more from around the online Joe community.
Yeah, it's guys talking about Joe. Think of it as Joe Talk meets sports talk. And we make fun of Chuck.
Right, and we... Hey, again?
Come on, Chuck. We're just kidding. Kinda.
Sometimes Chuck makes fun of himself.
Right, and we... Okay, seriously, this is just getting ridiculous now.
It's What's on Joe Mind, every week on the Geekcast Radio Network, InsidePulse.com, Stitcher Smart Radio, and iTunes. Download and listen today.
I suppose I still can't say something about Transformers, can I?
Good.
No.
What about sports?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's all right.
What tarnation's going on? Even the wolf circles back, leaving 2 sets of tracks to confuse its pursuers. Huh? I don't see no wolves. Must be watching a different channel. Venom must be sending out a false radar signal.
Are you ready for more? Let's go.
So before we get into our ratings and final thoughts, the PSAs. PSA 1 is don't carry too much at once, and PSA 2 is suntan lotion.
I like the first one just because there's all kinds of dirty jokes I can make about at the young age of whatever he is. Scott already knows you should not be carrying wood, or at least not too much wood, as a boy.
So good. Just
the suntan lotion one was funny because Scott, usually in PSAs, the formula there is the kid or somebody is doing something wrong. And the superhero or the hero of the show is the one that comes in and corrects the action. And in this situation, Scott was doing the right thing from the beginning, and it was Matt saying, "That a boy, kid. Good job. You're putting your sunscreen on." So it was a little different. Instead of somebody doing something wrong that was being corrected, it was somebody doing something right and then being reinforced.
Right, yeah. I can kind of see that, but still, these PSAs for this week's podcast, they make no sense in a violent 80s cartoon to me.
I want to know who came up with okay, I can understand suntan lotion. Like, kids never want to put on their suntan lotion. We should throw that out there. Who came up with the idea that, man, kids are always carrying too much?
Yeah.
What?
I had a backpack as a kid. I still have a backpack today.
Is that a problem that the cartoons need to try to subliminally, message kids to try to prevent because kids everywhere are carrying too big of loads? I don't think that was not meant as a bad joke.
I know.
It wasn't until I was in college where I started trying to carry too much because I was living on the third floor, and when we went grocery shopping, each person would try to carry 20 bags of groceries on their arms.
Yeah.
So they only had to go up the stairs once. I don't remember that being a problem for me at the age of 10. Could I not carry, was I trying to carry all my action figures at the same time? What could I have possibly been carrying that this PSA would relate to me in any way?
Yeah. All right, so getting into for final thoughts, there's a certain podcast, of course it's 2 years away, but there's a certain podcast that's going to be reformatted and redone in 2014, the 30th anniversary of Transformers. And in preparation for that, because as we all know, or most of us know, at least you know and Steve knows and everyone else knows that podcast with me, that I plan ahead very, very far ahead.
You do.
And
he has my life plotted out for the next 20 years, folks. I'm a prisoner.
Up.
I'm a podcast prisoner.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even. We'll handle that off air.
See, that's just slave tactics.
Shut up.
It's going to beat me.
Shut up. So, I recently went back on Netflix and I watched season 1 of Transformers Generation 1.
It's a good thing to do every once in a while.
And I don't care what other people think of Spike Witwicky. Now, Spike arguably is maybe anywhere from 14 to 16, whereas Scott is probably anywhere from 8 to 11, somewhere in there. Okay, so the age range is a little bit different, but they're two iconic 80s cartoon characters. Well, sort of iconic. Whatever,
As far as the human, the child sidekick that the fans are supposed to relate to.
Right, exactly. Spike is more responsible. Spike actually listens to the giant fucking robots when they tell him to do something. Spike doesn't go running off unless he absolutely has to. You know what I mean?
My problem's not with your hate of Scott. I don't mind your hatred of Scott because Scott's kind of a whiny douchebag.
Don't like my hatred of T-Bob.
yeah. I don't mind. I don't agree with your hatred for T-Bob. Is my problem. He's just
okay, but I'm not even worried. I'm not even talking T-Bob's a whole nother. I mean, T-Bob and Wheelie could probably.
Do you know who Scott's like? Scott is like Episode 4 Luke Skywalker.
Oh God, no! I'm sorry. Luke is so much better than.
I'm just saying the whiny, complaining kid that's why can't I be included? I
want to
in
go
the
into Tashi Station for some power.
Why can't I be included in the galactic battlefield that I possibly could die in?
But I mean, my thing was, and I wasn't really gonna have us do a long, lengthy discussion on this, but it was something that happened to me since in between recording episode 9 and episode 10, and I had to bring this up because two iconic sidekick characters from two different 80s cartoons one of them, yes, is a little bit older, but we're, as you said, we as children of the 80s back then are supposed to somehow connect with these characters. Even as a kid, I never connected with Scott because everything that he gets into, I knew not to fucking do.
I think it was one of the biggest misnomers of people who were doing cartoons, not just in the 80s, but sometimes before that and sometimes after that. There was just this big idea that you needed to have a character that the kids could relate to and feel like that was them in the universe that they had created.
Right.
And it's something that was never necessary. I don't think any of us ever needed a human character to be like, if we were watching Transformers, we could care less if there was humans or not in there. Mm-hmm. We didn't need the humans so that we could place ourselves in that universe. We were immersed into that. We were submersed into that. We bought into it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Like, we did not need a human character.
Yeah.
And I just think there was the powers that be that thought, oh, we need one of these in every single cartoon practically, and it just wasn't necessary.
As far as getting into ratings for Vanishing Point and the Counter-Clockwise Caper, for me, Vanishing Point gets a 3 out of 5. I liked it. Huh?
I predicted your ratings, and I'm right so far.
I liked it. I thought it was really well done, but it still gave me that twinge of, oh, I've seen this plot before, in reference to Highway to Terror. The Counter-Clockwise Caper, it's a 10. It's fucking 10 for me. No,
I only give 5s.
It's 5 out of 5 because
I predicted right again.
Hands down, it is probably the best caper that Venom has done to this point. And it might be the best caper that they've ever done. Because it makes sense that they would do something like that. Like finding, a crystal that they know nothing about and want to harness its power and then, it's going to explode. That makes no fucking sense. This plot made sense to me. So yeah, 5 out of 5 for Counter-Clockwise. What about you? What are your ratings?
Slightly different than you. I thought they were both solid episodes. I liked the plots in both of them. There was just little minor things in each one that I didn't like. I've kind of teeter-tottered back and forth on my ratings for these, but I've concluded that I'm actually giving them both the same score. For a while, I had Vanishing Point slightly higher than Counter-Clockwise Caper, but that was before you brought up the whole how similar it is to
Highway to Terror,
and I have to knock it down a little for that. So I ended up with both of them being 3.5. They're decent episodes. They're some of the better episodes we've seen. I couldn't quite give either one of them a 4. I don't know. I guess I just didn't like Counter-Clockwise Caper quite as much as you did. I liked it. I don't know if the Gloria Matt thing bugged me. I don't really know exactly what it was, but 3.5 for both of them.
Uh-huh. Alrighty then. So thank you for being a part of Mass Mayhem today. If you'd like to get in contact with us, leave feedback for the show, there's several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our posts. Please do this. Send email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter. The network name there is @GeekCastRadio. Mine is TFG and Mike. What is your Twitter name?
Optimus freaking Solo. No, just Optimus Solo. No freaking. I did not say freaking.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio Network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. 502-526-5821. If you have a USB headset or microphone, you can go to the website on the right-hand side. There's a button that says Send Voicemail Now. You can do it that way as well. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Masked Mayhem, and don't forget to join us in our next crusade when we will be discussing episodes 25, 26, and 27, The Plant Show, The Secret of the Andes, and Panda Power!
So much for being in the USA.
For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Optimus freaking Solo.
And remember, podcasting is the ultimate weapon.
Illusion is the ultimate weapon.